Welcome to Cloud AIOps Hub, the channel where we break down complex platform engineering concepts into real-world analogies.
All right, so this is it. We're closing out our big RDS series with the topic of operations. Now, if you missed the first two parts on infrastructure and security, I've dropped the links down in the description. You might want to check those out first, because what we're talking about today, well, it pulls everything together.
Okay, I'm going to make a pretty bold statement right here at the start. I think this is the explainer that changes how you think about managed services forever. Seriously, we're going to go beyond just using a service and start talking about how to design with it. So let's just dive right in.
So let's talk about something I'm sure way too many of you know all too well. You ship a new app, the database is up, high fives all around, and then reality sets in, right? Suddenly, it's all about spending your nights and weekends doing manual maintenance, patching servers at the worst possible times, getting those dreaded 3 a.m. alerts. This is what I call the manual operations trap, and it leads to one place: burnout. And this right here, this is the whole story in one slide. On one side, you have teams that are just doing operations. They're stuck on that hamster wheel, just reacting, patching, fixing, and honestly burning out. But on the other side, that's where you see teams designing systems that operate themselves. And let me be clear, that shift from doing to designing isn't just a minor tweak. It is the fundamental difference between a standard DevOps loop and a real platform engineering mindset.
Okay, to make this idea really stick, let's use an analogy. Imagine your database is a big apartment building. All you care about is moving your stuff, your data, in and having everything just work. You don't want to think about the plumbing or the electrical or what happens when the roof springs a leak, right? Well, think of RDS as your building manager. It handles all that stuff for you.
Let's actually map this out. So maintaining the plumbing in that building, that's RDS handling automated patching for you. What about fixing a leaky roof? That's like AWS dealing with a hardware failure under the hood, something you probably won't even notice. But if you were doing this all yourself, you're the one calling the repairman, or worse, you are the repairman getting that 3 a.m. call. With RDS, you just connect to the endpoint, that's you moving your data in, and you trust the maintenance schedule, which is really just your automated backups. Okay, so the building manager analogy is cool, but how do we actually put that manager to work? How do we give it instructions? The answer is, we do it with code. This is where we stop talking in analogies and start looking at the real implementation. We're going to use infrastructure as code, Terraform in this case, to actually design this whole self-operating system. So first things first, you gotta lay the foundation, the network. We start with an AWS VPC. You can think of this as the property lines for our database building. Nothing gets in or out without going through the front gate. Then inside that property, we create private AWS subnets. These are like the secure floors or zones. But the really clever part is the AWS DB subnet group. This tells RDS, hey, don't just build this in one spot. Spread it across multiple data centers, say US East 1A and US East 1B. Why? Because if one of those data centers has a problem, our database just keeps on running. That's high availability, designed in from day one. Okay, network's solid. Now for the database itself. We'll attach an AWS security group to it. This is basically our firewall, and we'll lock it down so it only listens on the standard Postgres port, 5432, and only to our application. Then we pick our tech. We're going to go with the Postgres 16 engine on a simple db.t3.micro instance for now. And if we need to get fancy and tweak some deep database settings, no problem. That's what the AWS DB parameter group is for. See? Every single decision is right here, captured as code.
Now this is where the real magic happens. This is where we turn those manual, painful operations into simple lines of code. See that maintenance window parameter? That's our patching schedule. Done. One line. The backup retention period? That's our whole backup strategy. And storage autoscaling? We just designed a system that can't run out of disk space. We are no longer doing these things. We have designed the policies for a system that will do them for us. It's a total game changer.
And after all that design work, what's the result? What does our application actually see? Just one thing: a single, stable endpoint address. That one string of text hides all that complexity we just built: the multiple availability zones, the failovers, the patching, everything. To the application, it's just a permanent, reliable address, a home for its data. So a question I hear all the time is, does this mean we don't need DBAs anymore? And the answer is absolutely not. That's a huge misconception. The role of the DBA doesn't go away. It just evolves into something way more powerful. Think about it. Before RDS, the DBA was an operator. Their life was all about manual installs, 2 a.m. patching calls, and just constant firefighting. But with RDS, that same expert is now an architect. Their incredible depth of knowledge isn't being wasted on reactive fixes. Instead, they're using it to write Terraform, to set smart policies for the whole company, and to design resilient data platforms from the ground up. I really want this point to land. The DBA still exists. They are still absolutely crucial. But now, instead of being woken up at 2 a.m. to manually patch a server, they're writing Terraform and setting policies that prevent that entire class of problem from ever happening. Their expertise isn't just used, it's encoded, it's amplified. And that idea brings us to what I think is the most important point of this entire series. We're not just talking about a new AWS service here, we're talking about a fundamentally different way of thinking. The real shift? It isn't moving from a database to a service. It's moving from manual operations to designed systems. The engineer's job changes. You stop being the person on the assembly line manually running the database. Instead, you become the person who designs the entire assembly line itself. That right there, that is the platform engineering mindset. So I want to leave you with a question, something to take back to your own team and your own work. Ask yourself, are you running your databases, or are you designing the systems that run them for you? Because how you answer that, well, that defines everything. And with that, we're wrapping up not just RDS operations, but our entire series on RDS. I really hope this has given you a new way to think about these tools, not just as services, but as building blocks for better systems. Thanks so much for joining me for all of it, right here on Cloud AIOps Hub.
Hey, if you got something out of this, do me a favor and subscribe to Cloud AIOps Hub. That way you won't miss what's coming up. We're already working on a brand new series all about platform engineering patterns that work not just on AWS, but on Azure and in multi-cloud setups too. It's going to be a good one. Thanks again for watching, and I can't wait to see you for the next one.